We'll start by naming this trike Picking. Add another trike and we'll call this one Bassline. This is going to be a separate bassline from the picking. Add another trike, call this one Lush Strings. And a final trike, which we'll call Soft Piano. And these are the only tracks that we're going to need for this tutorial. I'm going to use the master track voicing for the picking and not the acoustic guitar. We'll see why in a short while. I have my VSTs loaded and we're going to start by changing the scale to A minor, and we can see here the chords that are already suggested. If we go into the chord voicing, you'll see that we can modify these, change the configuration of the chord or the inversion of the chord, or to customize it, but it doesn't quite do what I want it to do because I want to create a walking bass line. So the best way I found to do that, and the quickest, is to actually type in the chord sequence, which we separate by a space. So we have A minor over G as a slash chord, A minor over F sharp, and A minor over F. Enter that. We'll see it's added those chords. Now, as I say, I want to make this a walking bass line. So we're going to start with the bass. I did try using the acoustic guitar chord mode, and whilst it observes the bass line to some extent, I couldn't get A minor over A to work. So we're dragging a bass line. I'm going to make these strong on every note because I need to ring for the whole chord, and I'll make them 4/4 or 1 chord bar in length. I'm just going to apply that. Then here I'm going to remove all the allowed notes apart from the root. Now what's happened here is that the root is being determined as the lowest note of the chords which we have, and as they are slash chords, it will take the, as in the case of the second bar, the G, the third bar, the F sharp, etc. Drag in a finger picking generator onto the picking trike. And I'm going to say no dedicated bass. Because we've already got one on the bassline trike. I'm going to apply that. Let's have a listen. Okay, that sounded pretty good. I'm just going to duplicate part 1. I could have added an extra line, but just for simplicity, I'm going to highlight the picking generator, press G on the keyboard to regenerate. Just so it doesn't sound exactly the same as the first part. I'm now going to add yet another part. And what we're going to do here, starting at bar 9, is to add a new scale. And we're going to change this to E major. So we start for the first two parts in A minor, and then for the third part we go to E major. Again, I'm just going to type some chords in. Quite straightforward. E, B, A, and G sharp minor. I'm going to copy this across and copy the bass line across. I'll just zoom that up by double clicking the part name. We'll just go into the generator here. We'll make a change. Lower notes clashing with my bass note. Just going to take that out so we've only got 4 notes in this now. I'm going to apply that. I'm now going to add another part. Now we're on to part 4. Part 4 will stay in E major. This time I want to add some different chords in. I want another walking bass line. We'll have C sharp minor over B, C sharp minor over A, and C sharp minor over G sharp. Again, copy this across. Now this causes us a slight problem, because the lowest note here is going to be out of range for my guitar VST. Doesn't sound. There's several ways we can fix that. We can move the whole piece up, the whole phrase up, but then it would mess with the other notes. I'm going just to manually edit this one particular note. I will make that note a G sharp. So now let's copy fingerpicking generator across. We could drag it in from the phrases bar. And we'll just go into this and let's put the extra note back in. I'm not keen on this top line, so I'm going to regenerate. something clashing there with the bass line. So let's apply that and then let's move it up. And that fits quite nicely with what we want to do here. So really we've got the main part of the piece that we want to look at. I'm going to now look at putting in some strings. I'll bring in a chord generator. And I'm going to stretch that out. So the strings start at the scale change to E major. I just want them to be fairly quiet. And again, 1 bar in length. I'm going to turn the gain down, hit the scale lock, just makes the chords transition more smoothly. Now here I'd like to take advantage of the fact that again we've got slash chords, and I would like a walking bass for the strings. So what I'm going to do, because I don't want to affect the previous clip, this one, I'm just going to copy that over to create a new one. This time going into the generator and add a bass note 1 octave below. We'll apply that, and now we can see that walking bass line to where the slash chords are. Now I'm going to add a little bit of piano, and I want this to be fairly high sounding. Before I do that, I'm just going to duplicate part 1 to take us to the end of the song, so it comes back into that A minor again. Well, what we do need to do if we're duplicating a part early on in the song and not at the end is to make sure we drag it back down to the bottom of that list, so it's now at the end of the song. I'm going to left click here onto this phrase, press G, and that regenerates. To regenerate again and again. Now what we've got here is a clashing. Because the lowest note in that phrase now is getting pretty close to where the bass is, so let's just bring that up. And I'm just going to go in here and duplicate that to part 6. And we're going to bring in some piano. Let's just see how high that sounds. That's far too low. Let's just take it up. I'm using the arpeggiator. That's the sort of note range we're looking for. But of course that's far too fast. Probably want to take it around the quarter note, or even better still, use the probabilistic rhythm. This is a great feature, being able to use the arpeggiator with the probabilistic rhythm. It takes the plainness away from a basic arpeggiator. We can turn the density of the notes up and down, so we can have some longer ones in there, or we can have some shorter ones. We bring it back down. Let's just take that back up, have a few shorter ones in there. It just breaks up the rhythm nicely, stops it being boring. I'm going to drag that right across, so that now fills the whole of the last two parts. Of course, we've got to put our strings back. And yeah, that sounds pretty much the way we want it to. It gives the effect of a kind of soft sound, bittersweet. I'm going to take the last part and I'm going to extend it by 2 bars. And I did that by upping the number of bars in that individual one. We could have added a 2 bar separate one. I'm going to split at bar 25. I'm going to finish on a straight A minor chord, and double clicking the part name just to zoom it up. We'll bring in chord generator. We want it for 1 bar in length. In fact, what we will do is we'll make it 2 bars in length, just to let it ring out when it's finished. Yeah, it needed 2 bars. Just going to soften the velocity on that. I'm now going into the variations, because it ends a little bit abruptly. So I'm going to use the strumming variation, and before I do that I'm going to add some more notes to it, because there's only 3 notes there. Let's change that so we've got an extra note in it. Just fills that out a little bit. I can turn this up, put even more notes, and by doing it this way you actually get notes that are part of the chord, whereas if you use the allowed notes in the chord generator itself, you can end up with notes that are within the scale that don't actually quite fit, and you would have to manipulate those. It's quicker to do it this way. That's quite nice. So now what I want to do is to add my strumming generator, and by turning up the delay I can increase the time between the notes, starting. I'm going to make this the first variation, like that. And we can hear that strumming sound. If we turn this up to say value of around 40, and we can turn it right the way up. but I think I liked it around the 40 mark. So let's just change that back down again.